Well, good evening and hello. My name is Vic Condotra, and on behalf of Google, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you on this chilly evening. This is our first Campfire 1. We believe this format of bringing developers together in an intimate setting to work collaboratively in the open is the best way to engage with the developer community, and we hope tonight is the first in a series of many such engagements. At Google, we really care about making the web better for everyone, and that includes developers. We believe by improving the programmatic fabric of the web, by moving that forward, we will enable developers to build more compelling and more exciting applications. And more compelling and more exciting applications, we believe, will lead to more usage. And more usage is good for Google as well as for our many partners. Tonight, we're going to talk about one very special way to make the web better. And that is to make the web better by making it social. Now, you may say, well, isn't the web social already? And to a certain extent, it is. We know that hundreds of millions of users have chosen to sign up to social networks today. And by the hundreds of millions, these users have demonstrated their desire to interact with their friends, with their coworkers, and with their families. What do? They share photos. They share slideshows. They share activities. They share their expressive ideas. They share music and many, many more things. We also know that these social networks have a desire to further engage their users and offer them even more exciting things to do. And in order to do that, why, they've called upon the vast army of internet developers to extend their sites. Now, therein lies a little bit of a problem. As a social network decides to open up its site to developers, that social network exposes APIs, or programming interfaces. Those programming interfaces enable developers to access things like the activity stream, access the profile, or access the individual's friends list. And that's great. It enables developers to write compelling social applications. But for a moment, put yourself in the shoes of that developer. And imagine if that developer would like to have that application work in more than one social site. What happens then? Well, that developer has to think about all those other social sites and all the different programming models, all the different APIs exposed by those sites. This is a problem. Developers are then faced to make very uneasy trade-offs. Which sites will you support? Which APIs will you adopt? Which sites will you not support because of limited resources? In the end, it's the user that suffers, who ends up with less choice and less innovative applications. Tonight, we're here to talk about a solution proposed by Google and its many industry partners, and we call that solution OpenSocial. OpenSocial is a set of open APIs that enable you to build social applications that work on any website. Now, how does it work? Well, OpenSocial, and before I get into how it works, I should make a critical point. Tonight is not about Google Social. OpenSocial is an industry standard. It's all of us coming together to find a way to make the web more social, not just Google. So how does it work? Well, websites simply adopt OpenSocial. And by supporting the APIs and providing implementations, they enable developers who've written social apps to have those applications now work across any website that supports OpenSocial. So it's really that simple. Now, what are the benefits? Let's talk about the benefits first and foremost to the developer. To the developer, OpenSocial means distribution, distribution, distribution. A social application developer wants the easiest route to reach the largest number of users. And OpenSocial provides that opportunity. It provides a model that only has to be learned once and in fact can run across many, many containers. You're looking at the partners that we have represented just tonight, and we think this is a fantastic way to start off a standard. A huge number of social networks that are supporting the standard, as well as all the top social application developers, and we are thrilled with the industry reaction and support we've received for OpenSocial. And you know what? What you're looking at tonight is just the beginning. Because it's an open standard, a very simple internet model, we expect continued momentum as the industry rallies around this particular model. Even tonight, at its introduction, the OpenSocial API encompasses sites that include access to more than 200 million users, and we think that's just great for developers. This standard is standards-based. It's part of what the Internet fabric is all about. If you know HTML and you know JavaScript, then you already know how to build an application using OpenSocial. Well, what about if you have a website? What can OpenSocial do for you? Well, as mentioned earlier, you no doubt want developers to be able to extend your website. And by adopting OpenSocial, you get access to the largest pool of developers and have those applications be supported upon your website. What about consumers? Well, in the end, we think for consumers, OpenSocial means more. More applications, more choices across more websites. And that is our end game, to make the web more interesting for users and unleash the creativity of developers. Of course, social is more than just about consumer websites. We believe an overlooked area is business. Business has always been social. It's always been about the interactions of individuals. And we believe OpenSocial will allow many of our business partners who we're announcing tonight to build social into the context of their business applications and unleash creative solutions, some of which you'll see tonight, that are just really very exciting to see. So let's get into the details. Let's move on and talk about how you build an application with OpenSocial. And to do that, I'd like to invite David Glazer, Engineering Director, up to walk you through that. David.
Thanks, Vic. So, as Vic told you, the whole point of OpenSocial is to make the web better by making it social, with the result being that developer, the bottom of the picture, our goal is to make Noah smile. We want to allow one developer to build applications that reach more users in more contexts across more networks. So how do we do that? So what I'm going to tell you over the next not quite 10 minutes is walk you through the steps to build an OpenSocial application. From scratch, I'm going to show you building it up from a very simple Hello World application through 4 steps to a simple gift-giving application. Before actually jumping into the code, let me go over a couple of the principles. The goal was one API that lets you build applications that reach and run on many different websites. To do that, to build rich applications, we wanted to have both server-side and client-side versions of the API accessed via both parts of an application. Tonight we're talking mostly about the client side, the JavaScript piece. And the points on the client side that, as Vic mentioned, and you'll see as we go through the examples, is it's entirely based on standard web development. If you know how to work with HTML and JavaScript, our goal was to make you learn nothing new. Just here's a handful of methods that get at the social information, and with that, anyone who knows how to build a web app now knows how to build a social web app. With the benefits being, as an application builder, I get more users for my app. The benefit for the users is I now have more apps that I can work with. So when we said we were going to do the simplest possible extension to the standard web development tools, what were those areas? We looked at what were the kinds of applications that you all were interested in building, that people were interested in using. And we said there's really only a handful of services that have to be exposed via an API. There's 3 sets of information about people that you need if you're going to build a social application. You need to know who I am, information about my profile, some basic properties of who I am and about me. Who I know. My friends, my connections, my relationships in the context of whatever social site I'm running this application in. And then finally, information about what I do, what I'm doing, things, updates, ways to do passive sharing of information between me and the other people I know. And then the last service is less about information and more about persistence of application information without requiring a server. One of our design goals in building OpenSocial was to say, as application developers, you certainly should be able to have an application that has heavy back-end server-based processing, but you shouldn't be required. You should be able to build very rich, interesting, interactive, powerful applications to work with users, let users work with each other without needing a server. And to do that, we needed to include a persistence interface in the OpenSocial API. So those are the core services of OpenSocial. one piece of low-level code, then we're going to start building our app. At the bottom, the level of the stack that even most app developers don't have to look at, OpenSocial uses the standard AJAX-like asynchronous interface model that the web is built on. So at the bottom of the OpenSocial API are a set of interfaces that let you build requests, send them off, manage responses, and the requests, as you can see in the yellow highlights, map to the 4 services we talked about before. They're low-level requests to work with each of the 4 kinds of information that you need. Now, most app developers using any API, including OpenSocial, don't usually work at the bottom of the stack. They usually build wrappers around it and then use those wrappers to make it easy and fast to build applications that speak in terms of the semantics that they care about. So the hello world, step 1 of our 4-step process here, all you need to do once you've made the low-level request to get the data is just access it. So here's a little code snippet that shows someone that all we're doing is we're calling getViewer and then getDisplayName, and that would, in any container that implements OpenSocial, return the name of the current user. So if we could cut over to the demo, what you can see here, this is the actual source code that has some of the details I'm left out of the slides. The hello function is just this little bit at the top, and all it does is it sets the HTML of the page that I'm displaying to the current viewer's display name. And then if we take a look, and I'm running this sample demo inside ORCID, we can see here it is, welcome David Glazer, and obviously this would be the name of whoever the current user was in whatever container you happen to be using that you were running, in which you were running your app. So now if we go back to the slides, what we can see is we're going to move on from a very simple Hello World app. We're going to insert a little bit of code in the middle, and we're going to call the getFriends API. So one more JavaScript call. Let's go ahead and say, in addition to knowing who I am, let's get a list of my friends. Again, friends in the context of the site in which I'm running. And then we'll use some standard JavaScript machinery to iterate through the list of friends, build a table, generate some HTML, insert that HTML in there. If we go back and take a look at the source code, we'll see the fuller version of that right down here. When we're actually generating the friends, we get the display name, and then you can see here, we're doing this getViewerFriends as array, iterate through it, build up our table, set the inner HTML, and then if we want to see what that actually does, in the context of our ORCID sandbox, I don't have very many friends, but my friends here are iterated, and iterated through. We see a list of them, and obviously basic information about them, like their profile photo, whatever other information we wanted to expose. All right, halfway there. That was 2 steps. Let's go on to the 3rd step. Back to the slides, please. And what we can see when we get back here is moving on from friends, we're now going to start actually doing something. We're going to add some interaction. So this is a very simple app. It lets me give things to my friends. And to do that, we need to persist some information. So there's 2 parts to that. I need to read what gift I've already given one. This is the top yellow highlight, get the information. And then I need to, in the JavaScript, insert a little form element that, in this case, is a very simple interaction. It's just a drop-down. You put in the drop-down what gift you're giving, and then when the drop-down changes, we're going to do an update person app data request, the bottom yellow highlight. All right, let's cut back to code. And what we see here, down towards the bottom, we have the gifts function. Few details that we left out before around translating it into the proper data formats, but basically all we're doing is pulling one more data field, inserting a form field in there, and then we have our form handler up here that on the change event on the form will actually do the push. So let's switch to a 3rd step of our demo. And what we'll see here is we now have inserted, and I could give Pal a hazelnut, and I can give Graham a peanut, and Lane, I think, is going to get a cashew tonight. So simple application, not much to it, but those on-change events were hooked up to the update app data request. One more step if we go back to the slides. So step 4 here, we're going to add reaching out of the app and say, hey, not all the interactions that someone wants to do with my application are necessarily while they're looking at it. They might want to do some updating of their friends. They might some passive sharing of information that lets the information go from what's happening in the application beyond. So all you have to do that is in the same change handler that used to just update the user's data request, we make one more OpenSocial call down at the bottom of the screen where we say OpenSocial request create activity. That pushes an update out to whatever update management and notification system the containing website has built, and then that's delivered to all of the users, friends, audience, however the appropriate delivery mechanism is. We now have a way to reach out from our application into the larger world. We can go back to the code. You're going to see a very simple extension here with this handle change to function, which is the same on change. The first thing it does is it goes ahead and calls handle change 1 to do the first step, but then the one other thing it has to do is actually call this request create activity. And at the end of that, we're going to get an application that looks exactly the same. This step 4 here, same exact functionality, but now when I'm doing that, I'm actually also posting some updates to an update stream, and we could go and walk through that. That's more a demo of the container. So that's it, 4 steps through. Now, what I hope you took away from this is 2 things. First is, boy, that was easy. If it was hard because it was HTML and JavaScript, but if you learn HTML and JavaScript, the OpenSocial part was easy. And second, that's not a very good app. You know, my design sensibilities here aren't very pretty. There's not much to that. Well, when you're building web apps, what do you usually do? You have one set of people who know how to make it work and another set of people who know how to make it work well and look good. And certainly what I do when I'm faced with that is I go to our design team. So if we could cut back to the slides, I went to our design team and said, what do you think of my app? And they said, well, you know, if we can go back to the slides, they said, well, you know, it's okay, the functionality's all right, but you know, if it were me, I would have made it look like that. And I said, great. I like that. I'd like you to make it look like that. You know what? Why don't you do it? Using all the HTML and JavaScript tools you already know. No OpenSocial knowledge needed. It's just a web application. Do what you always do. Make it pretty. Make it good. That's the beauty of OpenSocial. You don't have to learn anything new about HTML, about JavaScript, about CSS, about web design, about anything of that. What you do is you take all those tools you already know to build great applications, you hook up the social information, and now you can build great social web applications that run in any container that supports the OpenSocial API. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing many of those applications in many of those websites.
Thank you, David. So you've heard about the motivation for creating OpenSocial, and now you've even seen how simple it is to build an application using OpenSocial. But now let's shift our attention and see what the industry is doing and look at some of the great demos that our partners have already built. To begin with, we'd like to invite Akash and Jeremiah up on stage from Hi5 and from Sly.
Thanks, Vic. Hi, my name is Akash Garg. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Hi5. Just to give you some background on Hi5, we're one of the largest social networking websites in the world. To give you a sense of our global audience, we are a top 10 site overall. We're the #1 social networking website for the Spanish-speaking audience, and we're currently the #1 overall website in 7 different countries. Tonight, we're really excited to be part of the OpenSocial announcement because now, for the first time, third-party developers will gain access to all of Hi5's 35 million monthly visitors.
My name is Jeremiah Robinson, and I'm the CTO of Slide. Slide has pioneered the idea of embedding third-party applications into social networks. It wasn't 2 years ago where we were having our first slideshows show up on MySpace, and now we have sort of hundreds of millions of our social widgets every day. What we're excited about today is taking that next step in the evolution of social applications. Powered by OpenSocial, our applications can be richer and more fully integrated than we ever had possibility before. Let's take a look at an application on Hi5 and see what we're talking about.
So what you're seeing here is actually a typical Hi5 profile page, actually my profile page. And you'll see, you have my photo, my friends, some activities going on the side. But what's new on this page, and that was enabled by OpenSocial and Slide, was the fact that we have this new application called Top Friends that's showing up within the profile page, seamlessly integrated. And Jeremiah is going to talk a little bit about how they built that and kind of embedded it right into Hi5's experience.
So Top Friends is an application that allows you to express yourself through your friends and through skins. And what we are able to do is, through OpenSocial, gather a list of friends, gather their profile photos, and actually get links through to their profiles. So we're going to click on a link to my profile. And what you'll see here is that an OpenSocial application isn't confined to a little box. It's open. It can gather information and go to different places in the social application. And that allows us to pull a fully integrated experience throughout the social websites. What we have here is another one of our applications. This application is called the Fun Wall. It's a rich media application where you can add sketches, slideshows, fun pics, and even videos.
One thing to note about this application is that Hi5 has an existing feature called comments, where people generally are leaving text comments to each other. And now with OpenSocial, for the first time, we're able to have third-party developers add a much more rich application like Funwall right into the experience.
And as David said, this is just open web standards. We're using Flash, we're using JavaScript, we're using all the tools that every one of us has used to make our websites before. I'm going to show you what we can do with it. We're going to make a fun pix. Now all of our applications have two different views. One is a profile view, which is contained within the profile, and one is a canvas page, which we're allowed to do more fun, full, rich experience. So right here, I've used the OpenSocial APIs to grab a photo from my photo album, which we're then going to decorate by adding a thought bubble, adding some text, and then posting it to my profile. And what we're going to see here is this: when this ends up posting, we're in a whole nother view. You can have as rich an experience as you want. Multiple tabs, multiple windows into the social experience.
Great. So we showed a couple of applications here on High5, and High5 is really excited about the evolution of this, and we're really going to aggressively try to implement the OpenSocial API as quickly as possible so that more developers can come in and add applications to High5.
And for developers, this is really exciting because we've taken this one application and with a little bit of styling tweaks with a new CSS style sheet, we were able to drop it into Orkut, and we were able to drop it into MySpace, and we're able to drop it into Friendster and any of these other networks that come along. So big day.
Akash, Jeremiah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Let's keep the demonstrations going. And next up, we'd like to invite up Mark from Ning and Joe from Flixster. Mark, please. Joe.
Thanks very much. I'm Mark Andreessen. I'm the co-founder of Ning.
Hi, I'm Joe Greenstein. I'm co-founder and CEO of Flixster.
And we're here to show you demos of Flixster operating as an application within Ning as an OpenSocial implementation. For those of you who aren't familiar with Ning is a little bit different than the other kinds of partners that Google has here today. Instead of being a social network, Ning is a system that lets users create their own social networks. And so you can go on Ning and create your own social network for any topic, anything you can conceivably think of. So your own equivalent of MySpace or Facebook or YouTube, but for you, your school, your class, your church, whatever you want. Users have already created over 115,000 networks on Ning so far. That number is growing fairly quickly each day. In fact, 85,000 of those have been created just in the last 8 months. Now, one example of a social network running on Ning today is the one that you see here, if we can cut to the laptop, which is a network called 2Diabetes. And this is a social network for people affected by diabetes. And it was started by a gentleman named Manny Hernandez in Florida. And now he's running it on behalf of 1,500 people growing rapidly who are now members of this network, sharing with each other all kinds of information about diabetes, but also sharing with each other many other kinds of information about their lives, the kinds of music they like, movies, all kinds of things. And of course, when it comes to sharing information about movies, a great way to be able to do that would be able to use a service like Flixster integrated into the 2Diabetes social network. And that's exactly what we've been able to do and what we're showing that's been implemented with OpenSocial. And so the OpenSocial API in a nutshell lets people have the Flixster app and user experience running within the social network, the 2Diabetes social network that they're comfortable with and that they like using today. So to show that, I'll turn it over to Joe.
Great. So Flixster is a social application for reviewing and discovering movies with your friends. A little bit of background on the company. We currently have two products, our destination website at Flixster.com and our application on the Facebook platform. Between the two, about 10.5 million people review and discover movies with Flixster every month. So we're really excited to be working with the OpenSocial APIs and with the more than 100,000 communities just on Ning alone to bring this application to millions and millions of more users. So we can go ahead and click into a user profile on 2Diabetes. You can see basically the way this is working. This is a standard user profile on 2Diabetes community. Most of the page is pulling data directly from the 2Diabetes site as it usually would. But what we've done is we've integrated the Flixster application into the middle of the profile. So that section where you see the movie posters in the middle is actually coming live from Flixster servers. What Flixster is doing is using the Google OpenSocial API to get the user's identity, pull information from our database about that user's movie preferences, what they want to see, movies they've seen recently, what their favorite movies are, so that they can use Flixster as basically a self-expression tool on their profile. But then what they can also do with the OpenSocial APIs is actually click into the application. And now here we are. We're still within the 2Diabetes community, right? But now the vast majority of this page is actually coming powered by the Flixster application. So what Flixster is doing is, again, getting the profile information through the OpenSocial API from 2Diabetes to show you the person's name and their profile photo, then also getting their entire friends list, immediately going to our database and looking up the most recent movie reviews for that friends list and showing that as an activity stream on the right side of the page. And then if you click into a movie, what Flixster does is basically now turn any social community on the web into a full-fledged movie site, 35,000 plus movies that one can look up and immediately, unlike any other movie site, actually see your own friends and what they've said about that movie, and maybe discover somebody else who wants to see the movie that you can go see it with. If you rate the movie within Flixster, you can immediately share that with your friends within any of these communities. So that's the Flixster application working live on 2Diabetes.
Great. So this shows you, I mean, obviously the benefits of this approach is people don't have to leave the network they're comfortable with, the friends they're comfortable with. They can interact about movies or anything else that any other application will let them do within the 2Diabetes social network. Now, as I mentioned, the great thing about Ning is there are 115,000 networks already on Ning, growing rapidly. Every single network that we have on Ning when we go live with OpenSocial will have the capability to use Flixster or any other OpenSocial compatible application. So just to show you a few examples of those, this is the Rapstar 50 Cents network on Ning. Not making that up, that's for real. This is a network for car customizers, people into car customization, called Dub Pages. This is a network for wakeboarders. This is a network for Japanese BMW enthusiasts. So there's all kinds of groups, all kinds of networks all over the world that I think are going to very, very rapidly enjoy doing the kind of thing that we're here talking about tonight. Let me not close before having one chance to plug my blog give you the URL blog.pmarca.com, which has several very, very interesting postings about OpenSocial. Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you, guys. Now, we've seen some of the industry partners building on top of OpenSocial. You might be wondering, what about Google? Will Google take its own products and use OpenSocial? You better believe it. To show you what we're doing initially, I'd like to invite up Amar Gandhi. Amar, why don't you show us?
Hi, Amar Gandhi. I'm the product manager on Orchid. And I'm still wearing my Halloween costume. I dressed up as an Orchid user. I'm an Indian guy wearing a Brazilian soccer jersey. Representing two of the countries where Orchid is absolutely huge. Now, when we talk to our users, they tell us the same thing over and over again. They want more, more, more. All of their friends are already on Orchid. So what they want to do is do even more things with them. They want to plan parties. They want to share their rich status. They want to share new movies and songs and news that they discovered. And they want to find out what all of their friends and communities are doing on Orchid. Now, Orchid is a small engineering team. And we can't build all of this stuff fast enough. That's why I'm so excited about OpenSocial. Using OpenSocial, any developer, not only here in Silicon Valley in the US, but also in India, in Brazil, and around the world, they can build applications with the same level of UI and data integration as native applications built by Orchid engineers. So I want to show you a couple of examples of real apps running in an Orchid sandbox. The Orchid sandbox is a separate version of the Orchid site built so that developers can come and build and test their applications. So the first application I'm going to start out with is called Emote, and it's built by a company here called RockU. Can we switch over to the laptop, please? Okay, here we go. So here, what you see is Emote, an application, can insert a gadget right on the profile page. So I can actually communicate my status. So now, anytime my friends come and visit my profile, they can actually see what my status is. Now, for deeper UI integration, an application also gets a full page canvas page. So here, I have a wide array of emoticons and pictures that I can use to update my status. So I can update my status to say I am feeling social. Now, when I click this emote button here, two things will happen. First, my profile gadget will update on my profile page right away. The second thing will happen is this application can write to the ActivityStream API and update my status so that all of my friends get this information via this broadcast mechanism. So that's very cool. Using the friend graph, the application can also show me at a glance how all of my other friends are interacting in this application as well. So I can at a glance see what all my friends are doing. So very quickly, what you see here is everything that the app needed to integrate into the ORCID look and feel and into the UI, to access the friend graph, and to access the activity stream. These are all APIs that are part of OpenSocial, and any application can achieve the same level of integration. I want to show you another example of an application. It's called Mapster, and it's built by Virtual Tourist. This is an application that lets me share, mark places around the world that I've been or would like to go visit. So for example, I can come in here and say I want to go visit Australia. And now what's cool about this application is not only am I sharing this information with my friends, but the application can also show me other friends that have been to Australia. So next time I'm planning a trip, what a wonderful resource to now go ask my friends for tips and recommendations on what I should do there. Again, using the social graph, this application also can show me all the different places that my friends have been or would like to go. So next time I want to look for a travel buddy, I can come here and see all the interesting places that I can hook up with my friends and do real things in my offline world using this wonderful resource that I have, which is a social network on ORCID. So everything that I've showed you so far is live apps running on live code. And over the last few weeks, developers such as RockU, Virtual Tourist, PhotoFlexer, Slide, etc., have been building real applications on the ORCID sandbox. And I'm really excited to announce today that tonight, the ORCID sandbox will be open to an even larger number of developers to build even a wider array of applications. And one final plug for, no, not a plug, but just a thank you to all of our users in India and Brazil. We love you.
Thank you, Amar. Thank you very much. Let's keep the demonstrations going. I'd like to invite up Ali and Hadi Partovi from iLike. If you're wondering which one is which, Ali is the one with more hair. Thank you, guys.
How are you doing, everybody? If you're wondering who the greatest winner in all of this today is, it's us, it's iLike. Because, seriously, because in our goal to bring music everywhere on the internet, we already intended to build iLike on ORCID, iLike on Hi5, iLike on Ning, iLike on MySpace. And thanks to Google, they've made it extremely easy for us to do that by building something once and having it just work in all of those environments. And so ours is going to be the one demo that shows the same application that we had to build only once running in each of those different environments. In each case, we're going to start from a user's profile page in ORCID, in Hi5, in Ning, but then we're going to branch off and show some of the different features of that application to show off the rich depth of what we've been able to build, not just in terms of the gadget, but also all the underlying functionality behind it. So we're going to start by going to a page on Dub Pages. This is one of the subnetworks within Ning. And you can see here the iLike gadget that shows the playlist of this person's favorite music. And you can click and play any song. And what's neat is when you click play, it expands using standard HTML and JavaScript. The song starts playing. All of this is running on standard HTML and JavaScript. The same stuff that we use to build our own website automatically just works here. Now we're going to click on Add Song and show you something that you can't do in any other type of environment, where right within the page, when you clicked Add Song, a search box expanded. When you do the search results all come up in line. And you can sample the song that comes up in line and add it to your profile. And you see the new song has been added right above it. And you click Hide and the search box collapses. All of that without a single page navigation. Essentially, the message here is, A, we've brought music into an environment that did not have music before. B, we've done it in a way that we were able to reuse all the same tools we already used. And C, the end user gets this really rich functionality without even having to navigate away from a single page. So to show the same stuff in the other environments, I'm going to pass over to my twin brother, Hadi.
So let's pretend I'm the same gadget, but running inside a different social network. We're going to switch to
High Five, and this is my profile within High Five. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can see, it's on my profile. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can see my songs. It's not scrolling, sorry. There you go. Here we are. These are my songs. It's the same playlist within my page. It's the exact same gadget. We're not going to go through the demo of playing a song, or we might. But this part works exactly the same. If we switch back actually to my High Five homepage, we'll show some of the other benefits that the OpenSocial platform provides to a company like iLike wanting to expand music throughout multiple websites. So this shows my High Five home. In the middle section is sort of a feed of what's going on among my friends. In the right-hand side of the page, you can notice there's a gadget that shows the activity among my artists. So here you can see Incubus posted a bulletin. And this artist, this is a real live artist that is one of the hundreds of thousands of artists on the iLike system. They went to their iLike dashboard, and this is live. They posted a bulletin about the new Incubus DVD, and it goes to all of their fans on iLike. They don't need to worry about whether there's OpenSocial or whatnot. It showed up in this High Five user's home dashboard. Among my friends, you can also see the OpenSocial enables social activity among friends to get published. You can see Lou added music to his profile, and you can click this link to see all of my friends' music. And then this comes into a full Canvas page where I can see all the music that my friends are listening to. So Linda is listening to In the End by Linkin Park, and I can sample her music as well. So now we'll switch back to Ali showing additional features of iLike running within the ORCID environment. So this next page is ORCID, and the beginning, again, the same. We're looking at a profile page, and it has the same familiar iLike playlist with some of the same functionality where you can add music and so on all in line. And it's just amazing that we were able to build this in such a short period of time, reusing the same code. One thing I'm going to show to further illustrate the richness of what we've got here, if you click on any artist name, it'll take you from this profile page into the iLike Canvas page, running within ORCID to see that artist's profile. iLike has over 500,000 artist profiles, and now all of those artists automatically are going to have presences within ORCID, within Ning, within High Five, within any network that embraces OpenSocial. And the benefit to us is huge, but the benefit to the artist is even greater, because the artist can now, from a single dashboard, put up music videos, announce a concert, and reach a vast community of fans across all these disparate places. This is the Katie Tunstall profile. Katie Tunstall is, as you may know, one of the hottest artists today, and she's released the music video for her new single exclusively through us 2 weeks prior to its broad release on iTunes. And the fans can play and see that video right here. If you look through this page, artists are announcing their concerts, they're announcing their new releases, they're putting up their songs all through us, and thanks to OpenSocial, getting them distributed all over the internet. And iLike just turned 1 year old last week, and we also registered our 15 millionth user last week. We're really excited because OpenSocial opens up now, thanks to the inclusion of MySpace, an audience of over 200 million people, and we're looking forward to our second year and seeing how many of those users we can sign up to iLike.
Well, thank you. Well, so far we've demonstrated mostly consumer examples. Well, next we'd like to bring up one of the most popular professional networks and invite Adam from LinkedIn. Adam, please.
It's good to be closer to the fire. It's getting cold. Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Nash, and I'm the Senior Director of Product at LinkedIn. And I'm joined here by Elliot Schmukler, who's one of our rockstar product managers and has been leading up our efforts around OpenSocial. LinkedIn is the largest global professional network in the world with over 15 million professionals online already. We actually have executives from all 500 of the Fortune 500 companies now. And so at LinkedIn, we put a really high priority on building business applications that make professionals more effective on a daily basis. And so we know the value that business applications bring to professionals. And so when Google approached us with the concept of OpenSocial, we knew it was an immediate fit. Because what better way to engage and to delight and to make professionals more effective than to provide them the widest possible set of business applications on our platform. And OpenSocial gives us an open standards way for developers to do just that. So tonight, we actually whipped up a quick demonstration of a business application that we think highlights how business is social and how business applications can be better when they leverage the power of your professional network. Up here on the screen, you'll see an example of the LinkedIn homepage with one of these OpenSocial applications, which we call the conference calendar, in the upper right-hand corner. So the first piece of social information that the conference calendar has is that it knows that I'm logged in as Dan Nye, our CEO. It's a demo, so I guess it's okay. Normally, I'm not supposed to log in as Dan, at least not let him know that I'm doing it. In any way, Dan is in the internet industry, and so of course, the conference calendar looks through the schedule of events and conferences that are coming up in November and highlights the ones that are relevant to someone in the internet industry. You can see that actually all these different conferences are available with that rich interface that other developers have been talking about that's so easy to do with an OpenSocial application. If you look at the actual dates, you can see that some of the dates are highlighted in bold. Those are the ones with events. You can also see that some of them are highlighted in light pink. These are the ones that have some people from your professional network already attending, something that most people want to know of before they decide to go to a conference. The ones that are in darker red have even more of your professional network attending. So if you click through to one of these events, you see the information that you'd expect from any event website, right? The basic information about the event, what it's for, who's going to be there. But it's made richer by leveraging the power of social networking. If you click the people to meet, you'll see that the first thing you see is a complete list of all of your direct contacts, fetched through that Get Friends call, with some basic profile information, who are also going to be at this conference. And you can see the list of them there. We're also able to provide new and interesting people that you might want to meet. These are not direct connections of yours today, but are people who are in your larger professional network that you might know through a friend in common, and maybe you want to meet at this conference. We've even provided rich connection and communication functionality, so that let's say that you want to reach out and meet one of these people at the conference. You can click Contact. You know how you met them. You know where you're going to be. And you can say, hey, Kara, this is Dan. I'm going to the Web 2.0 Expo in Berlin. Reed recommended that we get in touch and meet each other. As a last bit and a demo of this application, we've also provided a list of connections that you have who may not actually be going to the conference yet, but who live in the same city. So you may want to touch base while you're there. So all of this information was really easy to pull through the OpenSocial APIs. And as you can see on the homepage, this is one slot that could hold almost any OpenSocial application. And we provided multiple slots on the page. At LinkedIn, we really believe that business applications are fundamentally better when they leverage the power of your professional network. So by supporting OpenSocial, we are really excited about what developers are going to come up with in terms of great business applications to leverage and benefit the power of the LinkedIn professional network. Thanks.
Well, one of the powers of platforms, open platforms, is that you sometimes can't predict the kind of innovative applications people will build. Let's keep on this theme of business applications and take a look at what Salesforce.com has done in conjunction with their partner Theocus. Please, Adam, Jason.
Thanks, Vic. My name's Adam Gross. I'm responsible for developer marketing at Salesforce.com. And really, there are two reasons why we're so excited about OpenSocial and working with this great community of internet partners. The first is that we really think that what we see in the consumer internet every day can make our business applications better. And we really have been practicing that since day one at Salesforce.com. If you look at the way we architect our system, our user interface, or even some of the applications you've already seen us deliver around things like Google Maps or AdWords. The second is that we have over 900,000 subscribers every day subscribing to the service, using the application to do things like manage their activities, their contacts, the real picture of their professional lives and the projects they're working on and the things they're trying to get done. And we think that just as you in your personal life might use some of the applications you've seen from OpenSocial to understand what movies you might like or what common artists you might have in common, you can use the same kinds of technologies to help make you more productive every day in the tasks you're trying to accomplish. So we've got a great partner here from Theocus, Jason, who's been using the Salesforce implementation of OpenSocial to build an application using that technology. And why don't you go take us a look?
Great. Thanks, Adam. So I've logged into Salesforce.com's standard user interface. I'm looking at an opportunity. And imagine for a moment that I'm working for a company where we sell generators. And I'm selling a generator to Grand Hotels in Goa. And so essentially what I'm trying to do here is move forward the sale. I'm the executive sponsor of my organization and trying to support my sales team as any good head of sales. And as I scroll down here on the opportunity, I can see all of the different contacts and all the folks who are basically involved in this opportunity, both within my organization as well as influencers from a construction company and other folks who are key people involved in this deal within Grand Hotels. And so I'm going to go after the decision maker, who is Frank Baxter. So I click on Frank's record here and get to Frank's contact information. So basically all the contact information about his email, his phone number, and so on. And as a typical Salesforce.com user, I would go down and research a little bit in terms of what Frank's about, what we might know about him, what he's done with us in the past. And what's really different here that you wouldn't see if you're a Salesforce user is this new section here in the middle, which is my social network. And this is basically a widget that we've put into the page. It's a tag cloud, which essentially is giving me immediate visibility into the underlying relationships within Salesforce.com that really I would never otherwise have access to. And what we're excited about here about the OpenSocial platform and the APIs is that it's finally unlocking those underlying relationships. So I have complete visibility into all of the relationships that I have that relate to Frank. And more importantly, I can see who are the key relationships like Anna Ford, who you can see her name is larger, which basically means that there have been more interactions between folks in my company. She's got a couple other opportunities. She's logged some cases. So I'm interested to go research Anna to see if she might be able to provide some influence to Frank and help me move forward the deal. A couple other things I just want to highlight is that we've got a Make Friend button on here, which is new to Salesforce users as well. So now we can really start to unlock that social potential within Salesforce.
And I think one of the things that's really cool is if you've got some kind of representation or visualization of your friends and relationships that you see on a social network like Ning or High5, you can pick up that application, you can drop it right into Salesforce, and because of the portability of OpenSocial, it will run right away.
Absolutely.
Exciting stuff. Nice work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, great. We've seen a bunch of exciting demonstrations. We've seen social networks, business networks, consumer networks, North American networks, Brazilian networks, Indian networks. What about China? What about Europe? Well, we'd like to invite up Don from Video to talk to you a little bit about what he's doing. Please.
Hello. It works? Yeah. My name is Dan Serfati, and coming from France, as you can hear, and I'm the CEO of Viadeo. With 3 million registered members and a 250% year-on-year growth, Viadeo is the fastest growing business social network with strongholds in Western Europe and in China through our local website, tianji.com. Though very proud of these results, we think it's going to be difficult to maintain this pace of development in a standalone position in the coming years. And that's why we're so excited by the OpenSocial API, which should allow us to dramatically increase the quantity and the quality of the features we're going to be able to offer to our members. Quantity, obviously, because of the hundreds or thousands of new features which will be implemented on Viadeo and Tianji, and we will see an example here in this demo. But quality also for all these vertical applications which require specific knowledge that we believe no company can master by itself. And this is particularly true for the business social networks where technical knowledge is often key to the success of an application. So let's start with our demo. We decided to implement here an application, a social tool, a Q&A, question and answer social tool for our members. So I'm logging in to Viadeo, and I'm going to use a real-life user case, my user case as Viadeo CEO. We are targeting now to make some external acquisitions to increase our growth rhythm. And we are targeting now specifically a company in Moscow, in Russia, a social network there. I have competitors here, but now they know. One of my first concerns here is to find a lawyer, established lawyer there, which will be able to help us to make this deal happen. So I'm going to type my question. Can anyone help me to find an international lawyer with an established background and so on? And post it. Here, Ariel is clicking on My Friends questions just to show you that we're using here the Get Friends method of the social API to get all the questions that my friends posted on the application. So, a few hours later, my friend Toby, who's an old friend and old HEC alumni, is seeing this question in the mini news box. Ariel, you're a little bit quick for me. The mini news box is using here the second method of the social API, which is the post activity method here, which informs me on what's happening in my network. So I'm lucky. Toby knows the lawyer there, Kate Lowe. He recommends me to get in touch with her. He worked with her for 5 years, whatever, and let's go. Okay, let's come back now to my homepage, and I'm going to see in my mini news box that Toby answered. I'm going to click on it, get back to the applications, and I'll see that Toby's recommending me to get in touch with Kate Lowe. And now it's normal business for a social network. I'm going to go on Viadeo search engine, type in Kate Lowe's name, search for her profile, check out that, yes, she is a lawyer, she is in Moscow, and get in touch with her. Let's say normal business, professional relationship business. That's it. What you've seen is an easy-to-use tool. No trick involved here. Compliant with the OpenSocial application. It's been developed in less than 2 weeks with 2 engineers, so really quickly developed. And obviously, it's going to be upgraded later. Here we started to insert some categories, a specific search engine. And I think, though the example is very simple, we believe it really highlights the potential and the huge benefits and the creativity and diversity of this community, the developers community will bring to all social networks. Thanks for your attention, and merci beaucoup.
Okay, we are down to our final demonstration. We really aimed to kind of tell you that we had a surprise in store, but in today's world of bloggers and Valleywag, I'm sure you know who's coming up next. It's a very special guest, very special partner, one that Google has been engaged with deeply for over a year. And it's a partner who knows a lot about social networking. In fact, you could argue they created the social networking phenomenon and today operate the most successful social website in the world. Please join me in welcoming Aber, CTO of MySpace. Thank you.
Thanks, Vic. MySpace has always been about being open. Since the beginning, developers have always tried to figure out better ways of customizing profiles and building widgets to integrate into their profiles. So it was only natural for us to want to come up with better ways for developers to integrate these widgets more closely with MySpace. Now, a few weeks ago, we announced that we were launching a developer platform and an open API. But we didn't really get into the technical details of that. Today, the announcement is that MySpace is standardizing this API on OpenSocial. In fact, we actually intend to help make this the de facto standard for developing apps on the web, not only by using it, but by contributing back to it. So I've got Joe from Flixster here to show us an example of how we've integrated Flixster onto a MySpace profile. Now this is brand new features. Nobody's ever seen this before. There's never been this level of integration onto a MySpace profile. So if you look at my profile here, you'll notice a picture of me and Chuck Norris, but more interesting, under my About Me section, you'll see a Flixster widget, and I'll let Joe explain that.
Hi, everybody. I'm still Joe from Flixster. So I'm not going to subject you to the full Flixster demo again. I think the points that are really exciting to make here are that while we've been working with the Google OpenSocial team for, I guess, about a month now, preparing our application and working with some of the demonstration containers they had, we were only told that MySpace was a partner about 36 hours ago, and it really shows the power of write once and run anywhere, that with that amount of notice, we actually have a fully functioning application within a MySpace profile and environment, and I'll click in and show you that it really works. It's live data coming from our servers talking to MySpacer servers through the API. And not only that, but even in that amount of time, we were actually able to take it one step further, and the OpenSocial APIs are fully extensible for the special things that certain container environments can do and certain applications can do. And so you can see what I've highlighted here. We're actually able to, in one day, work with the MySpace engineering team to integrate the ability to pull the favorite movies list out of Aber's interests over here. What he typed in is being pulled by the Flixster application in real time through the OpenSocial APIs that we've extended so that he can express those with cool movie posters on his profile in his Flixster application. So let me click in and show you that this is really working. So once again, we're back in a full Flixster application page within the MySpace.com environment. And the important thing to understand here is this is Flixster working directly with MySpace. Google helped us figure out how to talk to each other in 24 hours, but Google is not involved from a technology perspective. This isn't going through Google's APIs. Google doesn't control the data in any way. This is a MySpace and Flixster working together to provide this social view of Aber's friends and their somewhat questionable taste in movies. So it's pretty amazing we're actually able to have this fully live and up and running. And you can look, we can click into a movie. We can see what Aber's friend said. All of this data is actually live and happening in real time. It's pretty exciting.
So we're very happy to be standardizing our OpenAPI on OpenSocial. And as Joe said, developers couldn't develop on MySpace yesterday. Today they can integrate with MySpace within just a few hours. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. If you'd like to learn more about OpenSocial and get access to the SDK, please go to code.google.com, and we'll have all that information posted there later tonight. Working together, we can accomplish a lot more than any one of us could have done on our own. I want to express Google's deep thanks to all of you in coming together and working in a collaborative and open environment to make the web better for all. Thank you, and let's keep this fire going. Thanks.